how can science talk about outside the universe?
Well, in the way that I just described, there are experiments that have been produced that are looking for radiation that was produced before the Big Bang. And before the Big Bang,
Is this radiation part of our cosmos?
it currently is, yes.
So it is within this universe, within this
It is.
cosmos. So how can you then talk about we can know something outside it? You are describing things by experimentation, something which is already within this cosmos. It's like if you're in a computer screen and you are the actors playing, behaving like a program, would you know what's outside the screen?
No.
So how can science tell us what's outside the universe?
The way I just proposed, it is possible, it is conceivable. In the ways I'm describing, radiation, things that have...
But these are all part of the universe,
They have
cosmos.
yes, they have become part of the universe.
So these doesn't describe in what's outside it.
It does. It gives information. It is things that originated from outside the universe, outside our current universe, from before the Big Bang.
Sorry. Radiations, everything. You are focusing on the creation maybe of our particular universe, right? Are you saying this universe was created or it came from some radiations prior to that?
No. I'm saying that there is the existence of energy, waves, particles, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the details, that can be observed in the universe.
In the universe, yeah.
That have origins from outside the universe.
How do we make that assumption?
Some conclusion? No, you do a scientific experiment, and you try to make some predictions based on the results of these experiments.
How do we know they were actually from outside?
With great difficulty.
You see, you are all describing something in a closed system. That's all you're describing, everything part of that system.
I'm saying this is not closed. Something can come from outside. Anyway, this doesn't matter.
But when you say it doesn't matter, you're assuming there's an outside, right?
There was something to do that experiment. Yes, you're assuming that there's an outside. That is your hypothesis.
But how do you get to that even if there's something outside?
Well,
Whatever you're describing, it's all part of this cosmos. All of it.
Correct.
This is the system that you're looking at. It's not, you haven't gone beyond the universe, beyond our cosmos.
Not in your observation, no. Because we can't do that. We can't even get out of the solar system.
So you cannot say what's outside it, can you? You
Well,
can speculate only.
Well, I believe that you can. Scientists...
Okay, is there a green turtle outside of our cosmos?
Probably not.
How do you know it's there or it's not there?
No, I don't know one way or the other, but I suspect not. It wouldn't make sense.
Suspect not is just an assumption. So this is your speculative assumption. I don't...
What's wrong with that? It's better than saying I know for sure when I don't.
When you say something is there or isn't there, what is the basis for saying this?
You need evidence.
Yeah, what is the evidence saying there is no green turtle outside our cosmos?
There is none.
So you have no evidence, but you believe in it.
No, I said I suspect there isn't.
So you believe, your suspicion is your belief. Remember, your knowledge base...
I don't like the word belief in this sense. I have no reason...
Belief, it's not a belief system.
I don't like the word belief there.
What is it then? Your opinion? Your thinking?
My suspicion. My suspicion.
Remember, we are talking about knowledge base.
Yeah.
You are trying to come into a knowledge base by speculating, by having what? A suspicion. Your suspicion is giving you that knowledge.
No, that's not.
So he hasn't given you any knowledge whatsoever.
That's not knowledge. I don't have knowledge of whether or not a turtle exists outside the universe. I wouldn't say. I mean, effectively, I do. You purposefully give an absurd example. There clearly isn't. You know that, and I know that.
Now, how do you know there clearly isn't? I want to know your processes.
Because it doesn't make sense.
You see?
But there could
Just
be.
because the phenomenon of the light, whether it's a wave or a particle, doesn't make sense because it seems to be, dual nature, it doesn't mean that's the reality, isn't it?
No, no. Well, it does. That is a form of reality. Whatever we observe is reality, yes.
Yeah, but you can't say it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. Because does it make sense? It's a dual nature.
Oh yes, we can. We can definitely say it doesn't make sense. That is the basis of science. We say we observe stuff. This doesn't make sense. Let's do another experiment to try and figure out what on earth is going on.
Just because you think it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't mean it's true.
Sorry.
Just because it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't mean it's true.
No, I'd say false. It doesn't mean it's false. So it doesn't make.
It doesn't make it false.
Yeah, I wouldn't say true. I'd say false in this situation.
It doesn't make it false.
The turtle. So technically, though, you're the one making the claim that there's a turtle outside the universe. You would have to present to me some
What I'm
evidence.
saying, anything outside the universe, how can you discredit it? Anything. You have no basis for it. You have no evidence to discredit what's outside because you have no way of knowing what's outside.
Yeah, that doesn't.
All of that will be your suspicion, your educated guesses and your speculations.
Yeah.
So science, if you use that tool, you would not be able to arrive to this answer. That's the limitation of it.
I mean, that's just not true. I've given detail on why that's not true. So you're kind of going over the same
You gave an
ground.
example of how some radiations, whatever, they are the originating forces before the universe. Our universe didn't start with nothingness.
Well, you don't know
Our
that.
current universe.
Yeah. How can you know that?
Can nothingness generate something?
Yes, maybe.
What is nothingness?
The absence of stuff.
How can the absence of stuff generate stuff?
From 0, you could get -1 and +1.
If I have in my wallet £0, 0 penny,
Yeah.
can I give you 20 quid?
Yes, you can go into debt.
I have no money in your wallet. Can I physically give you this money?
Yes. Oh, you can't physically. If you don't have anything in your pocket, yes.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Well, you can give me
I have
20
no friends.
you give me
I have
20
no
pounds.
banks.
Okay.
Yeah, no one to borrow from. Because all I have is nothing. My wallet has no money. That's nothing. No money. Can I give you any money?
Yes, you can go into debt.
Where can I get this money from?
Befriend someone.
I said I have no money. I have no friends. I have no bank. I have nowhere to borrow it.
In that specific situation, no, you can't. You can't go into debt.
I said I have nowhere to borrow from. To borrow from means borrow something that is existing.
Yeah.
That was a nothing then. Question is, can you get something from nothing?
I see no reason to say that you can't get something from nothing. I have no reason to think that I have no evidence for one way or
How
another.
do you describe something coming from absolute nothingness when there is no something?
Yeah.
You see, to get some energy from nothingness, this nothing doesn't have any energy. And you say, oh, you can borrow it. Borrow it from what? From another nothingness? That nothingness doesn't have any energy.
Yeah.
Borrow it from what? From another nothingness? That nothingness has no energy. So where are you going to borrow from?
No, it's mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense.
No, it's not making sense. Where are you going to borrow from?
Where-
There's absolutely nothingness.
Where doesn't make sense because there is nothing. So there's no where
Right.
implies.
So that means you cannot get it from anywhere.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry?
It doesn't imply that.
Hang on.
No.
Look, this is why the Quran is actually very specific in dealing with the atheists.
Okay.
The Quran says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ
Okay.
أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. Were they created from nothingness? أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Did they create them themselves? أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Did they create the heaven and the earth? بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. They have no certainty of faith. They're not certain. So, can you originate, can you produce, can you manufacture from absolute nothingness? The answer is no. You say yes. I want to know.
No. I say I don't know. I see no reason.
I say I know.
Yeah, but you've got no evidence.
My evidence is absolute nothingness is the absence of anything.
Yeah.
So you cannot get thing from something that is not even there.
And what's your evidence?
I just told you.
No, that would be a circular argument. If that's your evidence, that's a circular argument. It's the case because I'm saying it's the case.
A thing to come has to come from something.
Within the
cannot
universe,
from
within the universe, yes,
anywhere.
I agree with
It
that.
cannot come from something which is not even existent. Existence cannot come from non-existence.
Yeah, well, I mean, I disagree. You're making a claim here, so you need to provide some evidence.
Are you suggesting existence can come from nothingness, from non-existence? Based on what?
No, I'm not suggesting it, okay?
That's why you disagreed with me.
No. There's a really, really clear, important distinction. I'm not saying one way or the other.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I don't know.
You don't know.
You're saying it's impossible.
Why don't you know?
Because science hasn't developed to that extent.
Science has.
And then if you say
Nothing. Okay. Have you?
Science has not.
Science is all about observation, right? Have we observed in our scientific labs something coming from absolute nothingness?
No.
Right. So what can we conclude then?
We conclude that within the universe,
within our scientific method, with our scientific tools that we have, nothing cannot give rise to something.
Yes. So within the universe, we can conclude, therefore, that things do not come from nothing.
Right. So how can
But we're talking about the origin of the universe.
I'm saying this universe that we are describing, it could not have come from nothing.
Okay,
the reason why I'm saying this, everything else you see, you can make a generalization from it. Everything that you see, it does not come from nothing.
You must know that this is a logical fallacy.
Generalization is a logical fallacy?
No, what you're doing is...
It's a logical fallacy only when you make it into something that doesn't make sense.
It's the fallacy of composition. It's saying people have personalities, atoms make up people, therefore atoms have personalities.
Absolutely not the case.
No, let me explain why that is what you're doing. You're saying that because within the universe, the composite bits and pieces of the universe have always had a antecedent thing, they've come from something. You're saying therefore the universe.
Okay. Can anything in this universe come from nothingness?
That's a fallacy. Sorry?
Can anything within this universe come from nothingness?
I've already said no.
Why not?
Well, because we observe this to be the case. Science tells us that.
So science tells us everything in this universe, it cannot come from nothingness.
Correct.
So what generalization you're making?
I can generalize to the extent of the universe, the contents of the universe. I cannot generalize past that. I can't then say, therefore the universe can come from nothing.
Why can you not?
What can I not want?
Why can you not?
Because that would be the fallacy of composition.
If something requires something else for it to bring into existence, if the universe is something, why doesn't it require something else to bring to existence?
Because we've got no evidence, we've done no experiments on creating universes.
You've already observed the universe.
Yeah, the contents of the universe.
The content of the universe. That everything within this universe, it cannot come into existence from absolute nothingness.
Correct.
So, if the universe itself is something, the whole universe itself, because parts of the universe requires it to come from something else.
Within the universe, yes.
The universe itself is something.
Correct.
How do you then postulate that the universe can come from nothingness?
I have no reason to say one way or the other.
How can you postulate it can come from nothingness?
No, I'm saying I don't know.
Can you postulate it can come from nothingness?
You can postulate anything you want, yes.
No, if you say you can say the universe can come from nothingness, this something can come from nothingness based on what?
Say that again.
If you say the sum total of everything in this universe, which is also something, how can it come from nothingness?
No, I don't think it did. I think everything within
Can you say it came from nothingness? Can science say it can come from nothingness?
Listen.
Science doesn't know everything.
Within the universe, everything has come from something. But you can't generalize that to the actual universe. That is the fallacy of composition.
So if the universe itself is something, what is so special about this universe that it can come from nothingness? There's only two options, my friend. Only two.
What do you mean by what do you mean by special?
Let's talk about it. There's only two options.
Clearly, it is a very rare event.
No. It's not a rare event. There's only two options. The universe, either it came from absolute nothingness, or it didn't come from nothingness, it came from something.
Okay.
Is another alternative?
No.
Good. So let's take the example of can it come from absolute nothingness? Everything we see tells us nothingness cannot generate anything.
I agree.
Then you're in a strong position to conclude the universe could not come from absolute
nothingness.
That is
false. You cannot do that.
Why is it false?
Because it's the fallacy of composition. You just need to read about that. You're saying...
Tell me why it's false.
Because you're drawing a conclusion that you may not draw. You're saying, because of the things that I observe within the universe, it is therefore true of the universe. You cannot do that.
So, basically, you're saying it is possible that the universe can come from absolute nothingness.
Correct.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, based on what?
Based on having no evidence one way or the other.
If you say it is possible the universe could come from
I'm making a very weak
nothingness,
claim, which is that it's possible.
If you say it's possible, now tell me, reason with me, how is it possible?
I don't have to tell you that.
No, give me a reason.
That's like saying...
Give me a reason.
No.
Why do you think it's reasonable to even think that the universe can come from absolute
No,
nothingness?
the unreasonableness comes in when you start to make a claim, an assertion
Two
that
options.
it did come from something.
I take the option that it could not come from nothingness, and you take the option that it can. So
Yeah.
tell me your reason.
No, I'm saying that we don't know. That's all I'm saying. You're saying that you know.
Okay, look. These
And
are
I'm saying, what's your evidence?
Look, two
Okay?
options, right?
Yeah.
Only two options.
I agree. We've covered this, and I agree with that.
If you don't think that it is not the first option, that it can come from nothingness, yeah? Look, only two options. Let me take one option. It has to come from something.
Fine.
You take the other option. Now give me your reasons why the other option is reasonable.
Absolutely not. I'm not taking a position. I'm saying I don't know.
There are only two options.
It could have come from something. It could have been God.
No,
But I don't know that.
Look,
And you don't know that.
Look, it could have come from something.
Yes.
And it could have come from
Nothing.
nothingness.
Yes.
Now give me the reasons that it could have come from nothingness.
No, I don't have to.
You just said it could have.
Yes, it
and
could
yet
have.
you are unable to reason.
Yes.
I've given my reason, you call it a logical fallacy of composition. Now give me your reason.
A tree could have red leaves, blue leaves.
No,
I don't need to give
me
reasons
your
for that
reason.
being the case.
No, give me your reason.
Because the green light is reflected back, because the energy from the
fine.
sun is in the red and the blue,
Yeah.
and that gets absorbed, and the green light doesn't give much energy, so it's reflected
Yeah,
back.
no.
That's why trees have green leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have given my reason, which you discount as calling a logical fallacy of composition. Give me your reason for your so-called possibility. It is possible that the universe comes from nothingness.
Yes.
Go ahead, give me a reason.
It's possible because I can say the sentence. All I need to do is say something that makes sense. The universe can come from nothing. It
Show
can come
me
from something.
with some reason.
I don't have any.
Reason?
And I don't need any.
Oh, so basically, someone who believes in God, they can just simply say, I don't have to provide any reason whatsoever. I know it's true, and it's true.
I wouldn't accept that, but if you do
See,
that, that's fine.
but
You're welcome to do that.
But for you to have a possibility that the universe can come from absolute nothingness, you don't have to give any reason. That's what you're saying.
That's correct.
Why?
I don't have to give reasons for why something could be possible.
So could it be false? Could your reasons be? Could your statement? Could your possibility? Out of the two possibilities, could your possibility be false?
Yes.
Yeah?
No, I don't have one. I'm saying I don't know which one it is.
No, I've given you.
Either could be true or false.
There's only two possibilities.
Yes.
The universe came from absolute nothingness.
Yeah.
So it came from something.
Explain it.
If you said the universe could come from absolute nothingness, is this proposition true or false? Could it be false?
I believe it.
If it's false, then the other proposition is true. So, if it's false, then we don't need to even talk about it. But if it's true, what are your reasons to make it true?
I don't know that it's true.
Then you could say the
So you have no reason to believe it to be true.
No.
But all reason to believe it to be false.
No, that's you're missing the point every single time.
You have no reason to believe it to be true, your proposition.
Correct?
But you have reasons to believe it to be false.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I have no reasons one way or the other.
Why not?
I just don't. I have no evidence. Science hasn't progressed to a point where it can interrogate before the Big
Is
Bang.
science the right tool for that question?
Yes, it's the only one we have.
No, it's not.
Well,
Science cannot deal.
I believe it's the only one.
Science cannot deal with things which are not empirical. Beyond the creation of the universe, there is no empiricity. There is no empirical. There is no matter to deal with. There is nothing.
How do you mean science can't deal? Are you saying science can only deal with matter?
Can science deal with supernatural?
Yes.
What kind of scientific method are you describing?
we don't have the whole
Scientific method is to deal with the natural world.
No, it's
The
not.
natural world, not the supernatural world.
There's been experiments done based on supernatural. I can do an experiment. It was one done for patients in ITU, and you can get 2 ITU wards. Church prays for one, but not the other, and you see how they do. And these people every Sunday say prayers, and they hope that the people get better. And then you can look to see whether one ward got better than the other. The hypothesis there is that prayer works, and what prayer is speaking to God, and He changes the order of the universe in order to heal these people. That is a scientific experiment. That is science dealing with the supernatural.
That is dealing with the supernatural phenomena, but it's not actually observing the supernatural, is it?
No.
Right.
Well,
So
it is. It's
not observing
It's
supernatural.
observing their effects.
Effect.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the effect.
Okay,
we
so-
were talking
okay,
about the
so-
causes of our universe,
so let-
and you talk about the effect.
So let me continue. So we do the experiment. We find that the ITU, where the patients who were prayed for, did much better. You can then say, oh, well, there's clearly something in this. You would have to repeat the experiment because it's so unlikely. But anyway, let's say you repeated it 1,000 times, and every single time you found that the ITU patients who were prayed for did much, much better. Then the next thing that you need to do is try and propose a mechanism. And then you would start to look for, are there particles like gravitrons? Is God doing something and interfering with the bacteria that's inside someone's lung or whatever? You would then, that's what you would, that's what you would then do.
So all the experiments that have been done, are they postulating a God particle? Are they postulating God in there?
Why not? I postulate that.
Not you.
If prayer is working, there is something.
The experiments have been done.
Right.
Are they postulating God in there?
The original experiment suggests that God is acting on patients in ITU.
Was that in a peer-reviewed journal?
Yeah.
And then did it get criticized by others? How can you bring God in?
No. Why would it?
Because every time you want to publish something in a scientific journal and you say, remember that particular author and the paper that got really reprimanded by calling it's the hand of God, and they had to retract with an apology by publishing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the dogmatic science doesn't allow this kind of supernatural explanation in scientific peer-reviewed journals.
It does.
Yeah?
No, it does.
That's interesting to know.
Look up that experiment.
That one's true. Yeah.
Look up the experiment. It's in a journal, a scientific journal. Obviously, it was negative. It didn't show any difference.
But if it's positive, they would say it's a positive.
If it is positive, what they would say is scientists are notoriously skeptical, and if it is positive, they'd say we need to repeat this. And if that was positive, they'd say we need to repeat this. And if that was positive, they'd say we need to repeat
sure.
this.
And then basically you will be experiments where it will not end because they will not eventually succumb to the conclusion that there is God, because that is not part of an explanation in the natural scientific method.
Well, I don't agree, but okay.
That's the dominant dogmatic science.
Yeah, well,
you may be a believer. You may be a believer
only because there's no evidence for God in science. If there was evidence for God in science, then
how can science bring evidence for God itself?
By the mechanism I just suggest.
Yeah. I mean, if that was the case,
this was a church.
If that was the
you
case,
could then go onto a mosque.
No, if that was the case, the scientists would have already done that experiments already.
Well, it was negative, so they don't need to do more. You don't need to do another experiment to show that it's negative.
Yeah. So does it prove God doesn't exist?
No, it's evidence against it.
It's not evidence against it. It just tells you that God, these people really, have the prayer answered or not. Why would God necessarily answer the prayer in the way people ask? Yeah. So it doesn't prove God's some kind of interactions within it, because people have a perception that every prayer that I make, God has to listen to it. God is under obligation to answer the prayer. Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
it doesn't prove anything. It's evidence against it.
Just to come back, you and I know very well the whole concept of something kind of out of nothingness is simply not believable. But yet, you, in the name of science, you give this possibility. The reason being, then you don't have to postulate God at the end of the equation.
Could you not include me in the video, please?
Can you not record him, please? Yeah?
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead. What was the question?
I was saying, the reason why scientists, people who are involved in this kind of discussions that we are having now in terms of the origin of the cosmos, they don't want to accept the concept of the universe coming from something or nothing, because they know the repercussions, they know the consequences of this kind of belief system. Because if nothingness...
Scientists do that. Did you say scientists do that or what?
Stephen Hawking, what happened? Every time he's coming up with a theory, he's trying to modify it because it comes to a point where his equations are actually pointing towards God, a creator, an originator. So scientists, the dogmatic scientists doing something like it. Even though they see the intricate mechanisms, irreducible complexity in the physical, biological systems, they're still trying to say that can happen by natural processes. You don't need a supernatural being to make all these things.
That's right.
So I am saying the concept that something can come from absolute nothingness is something that everyone knows in their heart.
No, that's not the way you do science. You don't say what you feel in your heart. That's exactly why we have science, because humans are so biased. They make all kinds of errors of judgment. So you have to do these meticulously planned out experiments that change one variable and one variable only, ideally. in reality it tends to be more, and that's why experiments aren't perfect. But you never say, oh, you feel it in your heart and therefore it's true.
Using hypothetical mathematics, can you get something from nothing?
What is hypothetical mathematics?
Using mathematics to theorize things. Not.
I've never heard that phrase before.
No,
I don't know what that would mean.
What I'm saying is, in the absence of physical data, we speculate with our mathematics. We speculate about the theories.
Do we? With maths? Maths is a language for understanding the world. I don't think. Anyway, it's not important. Go ahead.
Has anyone seen the Big Bang?
No.
But we're using our mathematical models.
Yeah, you model it. I don't think you create it. It's not important. Continue.
No, sorry. You have to correct me if I'm mistaken. Are we not using mathematical formulas and models to describe the origin of our universe?
Absolutely, to describe, yes.
So
describe the model.
This mathematics is based on what?
What do you mean?
What is the mathematics? What's this math based on? Real material evidence?
Maths is a language, so...
Yeah, is it based on real material evidence or simply speculating?
It's a set of laws and rules and based in logic and things like that.
Logic!
And we define some axioms.
Thank you, logic.
Yeah.
So mathematics has logic. So I am saying, logically speaking, can you get something from nothingness?
Yes. You can. I have no evidence for it. I have no evidence for it.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
This is why when the Quran speaks to the creation, it wants people to critical thinking.
Yeah.
Critical thinking. That look at these things. Look at your own self. Look at your composition. Look at the way you're composed. Look at your fingerprints.
Okay, yes.
Somehow, for some reason, you would say all of this is possible by mere natural processes. Correct. Without an organizer.
Correct.
Do you see anything happening by natural processes, a system as complex as a human or a tree?
We only have natural processes, so no. Anything I see is, by definition, created by natural processes.
Created?
Yeah.
How can nature create anything? Nature is not a creator.
The origin of the Big Bang, that would be the creation of everything.
The Big Bang was an effect or a cause? Well, you said it's a Big Bang, meaning an explosion.
Yeah, it's a creation.
It's an explosion.
It's the creation of the universe.
A cause or an effect?
Of what?
I'm asking you.
But that's a half a sentence. Cause or effect of what?
The Big Bang that you describe itself is what?
The creation of the universe.
Creation. So it's an effect.
Okay.
And what's the cause for it?
No, I don't think there's a cause. I don't know.
So now you are again...
You're trying to make a point by asking me questions, but just make the point and we'll get there much quicker.
Have you observed effects having no causes whatsoever in our natural world?
No video for me, please.
Can you not record it, please?
Sorry. Yeah.
Have you observed anything where without any cause effects happen?
We have no examples. We've covered this extensively. There's no evidence for that.
There's no evidence. Yeah. So when it comes to the universe, you say Big Bang created this universe.
Yes. As in atoms were formed.
Things were formed.
Things were generated. Yes.
And the causes for that was?
I have absolutely no idea. And nor do you dare I say it.
So can you have no cause?
Yes.
And you have the effect?
Correct.
How? Based on what? How did you get this conclusion that you can have effect without a cause?
Based on the point that I've made a few times now.
Which is?
That something can come out of nothing.
No. What have you observed?
We have no evidence to say one way or the other. We have never experienced a universe come into existence. What happens before that? Before doesn't make sense, as I'm sure you've read, because time didn't exist. But before...
Time didn't exist?
Not before the universe, no.
Then how did the universe come into existence if time didn't exist?
I mean, these questions don't make sense.
But you believe in these nonsensical things. How do you have something coming into existence, meaning a change happening, from non-existence to existence as a change, and there was no time?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
No, it's not mind-boggling. It's very clear.
But if you can't grasp it, that doesn't mean it's false.
No, this is a lie.
Right.
In my words.
For it to be a lie, you need to have evidence that it's not the case.
What is time? Time is a measure of change. When you have non-existence coming into existence, this is a change. So there was time involved. By saying there was no time involved, it's a lie.
Sorry, there was no time before the universe.
When you say there's no time, then how can you have this change occurring?
That doesn't make sense. Time and space are equivalent in various ways. If you have no space, which you would not have had before.
When something happened, the universe popped into existence by the Big Bang. This change requires time, and time is a measure of this change.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So can you? Did it happen?
Change can happen without time. That's not a requirement. So
okay, what is time then? Define.
I don't know what time. Time is it's a dimension. It's something,
what is time?
Something we experience.
No, time is a measure of change.
It's not. It's not.
What is it then?
But it's not that.
So basically, you're talking about a language that we are not even understanding. So when you say there was no time, you actually mean what? What is time you're describing?
Yeah.
What is this time? The concept you're describing?
A dimension.
No, what is that dimension? What is it?
It's a fundamental part of the fabric of the universe. You can't say you're asking me to break it down further.
Now you're committing this tautology. You're describing the same thing by itself. What is this time that you're describing that didn't exist?
Yeah, I mean it is a dimension that forms the universe, part of the universe.
Sorry?
As we know it.
It is a
dimension.
And what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a fundamental part of the fabric of the universe. You're asking me to break it down further.
Yeah, please do.
I'm unable to do that for you. I don't know what point you're making, even if I could or couldn't.
No. What I'm saying
is,
this is what scientists are postulating, they believe in. So you should be able to describe what they believe. If they believe there was time involved, what is that thing? Is it a thing? It's not a thing, is it?
No, you can't. No, you can't have a ball of time. No.
Right. So it's not a thing. What is it then?
No, I don't know. I mean, we can do this ad nauseum if you like.
I want to know.
I can't break it down further. I'm sure.
So you believe in not a thing, in a concept, which you don't know even how to describe it.
I have described it for you. It's a dimension.
What do you mean by a dimension?
Well, you're saying I can't describe it. I've described it for you.
I want to know what's the dimension.
That is satisfactory
to me, for example.
I feel like this is not getting anywhere.
We are in a 3 dimension, meaning what? We have height, width, length, breadth, right? That's a dimension.
Correct. Space is
That's how we observe.
Space is more... Anyway, this is not... Do you have a point relating to time?
Yes.
Because you should make it, because this is not...
I'm saying time did not get created within this universe. Time existed.
Right. Well, that's a claim that physicists know to be false. So unlike what happened before the Big Bang, whether the universe came from something, we don't know that.
But you described the universe came into existence.
But time came into existence at the start of the Big Bang.
When this change occurred from non-existence to existence or existence to existence, that is a change. Okay. Did the change occur?
Yes.
Right. We describe the change by the measurement of this concept called time.
No, that's false. That is not true. You do not need time for change to happen.
So now give me the concept of a definition